Hey everyone, it's BlueLizardJello, and welcome back to another episode of Everything Possible in Dark Souls 2. And today we have a lot to do. So first things first, let's go ahead and run right over here, talk to our good friend Benhart, before we start investigating some of these giant memories. He has such wonderful things to say to us, I hope you're catching it all. Really, we're just trying to exhaust his dialogue, so we can enter our first giant memory, which is the memory of Orro. So come in here, running past all the broken ballista. We're going to talk to Benhart yet again. Talking to him in this memory allows him to be summoned in the next memory, so we can summon him in the next giant memory and kill the giant lord, thus fulfilling his quest and getting his equipment. So we run up here to the second floor, grab ourselves a fading soul, and then we're going to use this Ferrous Lockstone contraption, which will make a door appear here. Now, straight ahead, once we come in here, there's going to be another Ferrous Lockstone. We'll get to that in a moment, but first, this is a trap chest. So I'm going to show you that you can actually shield through the arrow trap. Not very well when you're using the disc chime. Grab ourselves the soul of a hero. And then we're going to take a look at this, and we're going to say, no, 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 no. And the reason is, see that slot on the wall right there? If you put a Ferrous Lockstone in that contraption, then it'll spit out a spinning blade that'll do massive damage. Instead, interact with the illusory wall directly to the right of it, and then inside you can loot the steel armor set. And in the chest next to it, you can get a fire seed. For those of you who may be wondering just how many fire seeds there are in New Game, you can actually get a total of 20. Technically, you can get 21 if you actually kill Rosabeth after you buy all 3 of hers, but there's no need to. There's only 2 Pyromancy gloves in the game, they only go up to plus 10, so getting the full 20 in New Game is adequate in order to get both to plus 10. Take out these giants from range, as is our usual. That's short for usual. It's hip new slang I've been working on. Now, a word of note with these giants, when they decide to relax like this, you can't hit them. They're just taking it easy, just taking some time out from the fight to enjoy their surroundings, and you can't attack them. That's their time, that's leisure time. The nice thing is about these Drangleic soldiers, if you don't injure them, they won't actually attack you. But if you hit them, then they become hostile. Just wanted to see where he was going. But you saw that I broke that wooden contraption, which caused a platform to lower. And we are going to equip the silver cat ring, because we are going to be making a pretty sizable jump, or drop rather. And what I like to do is face the rope, and then just walk off at a medium pace. You don't want to sprint here. Here, however, this is one of the numerous places in Dark Souls 2 where it looks like you have to make either a roll or a complicated jump, but really the best strategy is just to sprint. Like so. Don't roll, don't jump. It's a lot easier to miss your mark if you do that. In here we'll deal with this giant. I almost said giant. I guess he is pretty big even for a giant, but redundant much. And here we have the Grand Lance, which the Grand Lance has a really good light attack that's actually a dashing attack, which will stun a lot of opponents, and it can also be buffed with resins. It's the only lance that can be done so. And just in case you don't have enough ascetics at this point, you get 3 more. And this corpse on the roof has 3 wilted dusk herbs, and we'll hop down and see what the courtyard has to offer. Soul of a great hero and a soul vessel. Make sure you break those barrels, and you'll see why later. You won't see why later. I'm just wondering how many people are really wondering what that just triggered. It didn't trigger anything. Pick up this large soul of a proud knight, and while we're down here, we'll go ahead and grab the soul of a giant off the corpse. And I tried to get all the items in one pass through. Unfortunately, time did not allow it, and you'll see just how close I got at the end. But it is possible. I have done it before where you can get all the items in one pass through. This is the most difficult memory to do it in. The other ones are much simpler, but even this one can be done. Another proud knight soul. Not a large this time, just a regular. Guess we're kind of full, so a regular at this point is more than satisfactory. So the Ashen Mist is thin, so you do have a limited amount of time. And we only have one item left, so we are going to try to make it. Spoiler alert, we don't make it. But I want to show you where it is. Now these guys are hostile to me now, which is kind of unusual since I didn't injure them at all. But to each his own. Guess with all the giants dead, they had to fight someone. They're under orders. So all I need to do is hop down onto this roof, and it's right there. You can actually, if you look carefully, you can see me reach for it. But we'll go ahead and end the session here with a Soul of a Brave Warrior. And then we'll hop down, we'll interact with that giant's corpse one more time, which will end this memory. And might as well pick up some free souls while we're at it. Alright, next we are in the Place Unbeknownst, past the King's Door, and we'll be entering the Memory of Jay. Now as long as you talk to Benhart in the last memory, you can go ahead and walk down these stairs and you can summon him for this next fight. If you, on the other hand, go to the last memory, the Memory of Amyr, and you talk to Captain Drummond, you can summon him for this fight instead. However, you cannot summon both. Now, I suggest that you use Benhart so you can complete his quest line, but it's completely up to you. Grab yourselves a Bonfire Ascetic right off the bat. Now, you're safe up here from the bombardment, but where I'm standing right now, you will get hit. Keep that in mind. So you'll see I'll take 2 shots and then I'll back up. Let the fireballs rain hell on Benhart. He's just gung-ho though, so I'm going to just let him go. I'm not concerned about him. Now the only trick is Benhart has to survive in order for me to get his equipment. We're going to let one more bombardment pass. There we go. And now we can start running, and I'm sure you've all done this before, so just make sure you stick to the right. That way when this giant stone head comes rolling by, it's not a concern for you. Luckily I can take one of those bombardments. Now Benhart is already engaged and taken some significant damage. The nice thing about him engaging first is you don't have to worry about trying to dodge the giant lord's smashing attack with his sword while the dust hasn't cleared. But we'll go ahead and use some Heavenly Thunder to even up the match. You gotta love giant targets with AoE spells. You don't have to, it's optional. I choose to. Trying to work fast here. I'd really rather not start this fight over. And one more should do it. Perfect. Thank you, Benhart. And we'll go ahead and pick up the Giant Lord Soul and the Giant Kingship, and then a Fire Seed. And then one more item over here, the Old Radiant Lifegem, can't forget that. Now the Giant's Kinship is the only item that's actually required out of any of these memories in order to beat the game. Once you have the Giant's Kinship, if you want, you can go directly to the Throne of Want and you can fight Nishandra if that's what you want to do. Grab ourselves the Soul of a Giant, leave this memory, and we have one giant memory remaining. Now before we head to the last memory, the Memory of Amyr, we are going to head back to the Memory of Orro where we met Benhart, because now that we've actually downed 3 bosses with him, we can actually talk to him and complete his questline and acquire his equipment. All we need to do is talk to him. He'll talk about what a great job we did. He'll pet us on the back, tell us we're like the kid he never had, and then we have his Bluemoon Greatsword, his Parma, and his armor set. Now, the Bluemoon Greatsword is fake. Unfortunately, if you go and you talk to Mullen before he's actually exhausted most of his dialogue, he will tell you that it is a counterfeit. The only way to get the true Bluemoon Greatsword is to use the Soul of the Pale Drake in New Game Plus and actually trade that with one of the boss soul vendors. Hate to break it to you, all that work and we just got a fake sword. But poor Benhart, he's been using that this whole time. Anyway, last giant memory, the Memory of Amyr. Now the reason we did the giant memories in this order is because if you talk to Captain Drummond after you've killed the Giant Lord, you can get his Drangleic Helm. Drangleic Helm is the matching helm to the Drangleic set that we picked up after defeating the Pursuer. And this is the only way to get the Drangleic Helm. Just go ahead and talk to him and
Did you see him?
listen to all of his whines.
My blame. Those
The king angered the
take
giants. I have to fight the giants
don't ask me
now.
why.
We're not doing so hot. I'm dying. Whatever. Anyway, run past the crack in the wall. There is going to be a giant that bursts through, but you can just run right past. And somehow those giant chunks of rock don't hurt at all. Grab ourselves the 20th fire seed of our playthrough. Now, the most dangerous giants in this area are the mage giants. They will cast some devastating spells your way, so deal with them however you see fit. And by that I mean use range attacks. Unless you come across one like this who can just dodge every one of your bolts. Very nonchalantly, I might add. Except that one. Now don't forget to head up this ramp because you don't want to miss out on a large soul of a nameless soldier. Let me tell you, it makes all the difference in the world. In here we'll see a massive battle going on between the giants and the actual soldiers. Good enough for me because we can go ahead and take them out with impunity since they don't care about us right now. But they're about to. So there are 4 giants here on the ground, including one massive one in the back, and then there are 2 mage giants on the roof on the left, so be wary of those. Now you're about to see some pretty crazy hitboxes. If anyone can explain how that hit just took that much damage off of me when I clearly was not in the line of fire, well, you get 5 points. But I must believe it. It has to be believable. It can't just be some mumbo-jumbo about coding and about video games and about physics and super string theory. It has to connect with me. So we are going to make this a little bit easier on ourselves and take some high ground. That way we can get a beat on these mages here. One down. It's interesting, the gauntlets that they wear are very similar, although not identical, but very similar to the engraved gauntlets we got after completing the Pate storyline. Grab the Giant Warrior Club, which has the highest strength requirements of any other item in the game. It has 60 strength requirements if you want to one-hand that beast. The Blossom Kite Shield, this is another one of the contest winners. So a member of the community actually designed that shield, which has a really nice and intricate rose on the front. And the really nice thing about this shield is that this is one of the shields that does have a 5% stamina regen buff associated with it. Can't forget this little item over here, or pair of items, Soul of a Great Hero and another Bonfire Ascetic. And then we can safely hop down, head towards the end of this memory. Say hello to this dead guy. Hello. He's just kind of curled up in the fetal position. He might have been a coward, not gonna lie. Can't miss this Rouge Water, or Rogue Water, as I called it for at least half of my first playthrough. At the same time, I was only wearing 2 rings because, well, I didn't realize you could wear 4. I will go ahead and take this guy out using the stairs to our advantage. And you know what, that brings up an interesting point. If there's anything in Dark Souls that you went for a long time without realizing, and then when you finally did, it was kind of a facepalm moment, let's have a discussion in the comments below. If there's anything that made you go, you know what, I really should have known that, let me know what that was. For me, it was the fact that you could wear 4 rings, and I swear I put in at least 20 or 30 hours before I realized that. So we picked up a few items there. We had an old Radiant Lifegem, Soul of a Great Hero, a torch, and of course the Soul of a Giant. And now, the 4th and final memory is the Ancient Dragon memory. And I mentioned in a comment in a previous video, this is the first time I've ever been here. My first few playthroughs, I honestly did not know this was even a thing. So what you're seeing right now, me just walking around aimlessly, this isn't trying to give you an idea for what's in this place. I'm taking it in for the first time, and honestly, I love it. It's beautiful. It's tranquil, and yet it's devastating all at the same time. And here we just have this absolutely devastating and yet regal corpse of an ancient dragon in what looks to be Ash Lake, a very dried up, broken, and beaten down Ash Lake. It looks like all the water's gone. All of these beautiful, majestic arch trees are destroyed. And here we just have this ancient dragon in all of his former glory just laying here dead. Honestly, I loved this area. And I wish I could have spent more time in it. Just checking out his wing over here. It's simple, and yet, I don't know. There's something about this area, and I'm just kind of rambling now. Even though this is post-commentary, I'm rambling because I just don't even know how to describe how awesome this area was to see. Unfortunately, the show must go on, and they're going to kick us out eventually anyway. But now that we have all 5 Lord Souls, we are going to go ahead and finally take on King Vendrick himself. And for those of you who have been paying attention, you know that when you first attack King Vendrick, there is no boss gate. There is no fog wall there preventing you from going in. Because there's a fog wall means that this is not my first attempt. This fight, it's not gimmicky. However, you can absolutely bait the AI just by sticking behind his left leg. As long as you keep strafing around behind that leg, you're almost untouchable. Even when he does his swing attacks, as long as you stay behind it like that, you're fine. Occasionally you have to readjust, and you may have to dodge a single attack if you lag behind on the strafing. Other than that, that's all this is. He does have a pretty devastating curse attack, but he's only ever going to use that when you're at range. And as long as you're doing this move anyway, you're probably not going to put that much distance. For those of you wondering, I am using a Dark Infused Sunset Staff, and I believe I have that fully maxed out, and I have the Abyss Ring, so the dark damage, it's pretty powerful right now. But that's all this fight is. Whether you are a caster or a melee character, just hug that rotten left leg of his, and you should be fine. And honestly, is there a character who you should feel worse for? Granted, the whole thing with the giant and the battle clearly is King Vendrick's fault. But to have your own wife and the queen of your land betray you so harshly, I mean, you have to feel a little sorry for him, right? No, just me? Anyone? Okay. Well, nothing to feel sorry for anymore. But out of respect, I will bow. Unfortunately, that respect ends because now I'm actually going to go pillage his stuff. So if you remember in the Shrine of Amana, this bridge that we explored earlier, crossing this, now you must be in human form to access this door, but crossing this bridge, breaking through these branches, this door was locked previously, but now that we've killed the king, and we're human, we can go ahead and access this makeshift cave-dwelling throne room. And sitting on this chair in this lonely cave is none other than the soul of the king. And in an iron chest, just in a path above that, we have his armor. I don't know, there's something solemn about this moment, I guess, even though it's completely disrespectful. Now, the king's crown has an excellent attribute of giving you +3 faith and +3 intelligence when you're wearing it. So, not too shabby. Now, this next part you may have thought that I forgot about, but I haven't. We still have to take out the Darklurker. And talking about some BlueLizardJello firsts, you saw the first time that I saw the Dragon Memory, and sadly, this is the first time I've ever fought the Darklurker. I've been down in the Abyss before, but this is the first time I've actually ever challenged the Darklurker. What I know about him is that he has a few different attacks, including that broadsword sorcery. He has these discs that he fires different projectiles through that will come out of the other one and try to surprise you. And he eventually will split at about the 2/3 health mark. just like this. Now this makes it for a very interesting fight. Now granted, with Great Lightning Spear and the Lightning Priest Chime, it's sadly not that interesting, but if you actually have to fight this guy a little bit more legitimately, and you have to watch two different bosses with very interesting and unique attacks, this can be a very interesting boss fight. I completely negated it by spamming Great Lightning Spear. But now that we have the Darklurker Soul, we can go ahead and get out of the Abyss once and for all. I tried to do a majestic leaping attack. Instead, I rang a bell and fell into some black abyss. But now we can talk to Dark Diver Grandal and get our prize for reaching level 3, which is Climax Hex, the Xanthus Crown, the Overcoat, Gloves, and Waistcoat. Now, Climax, this hex is a very interesting hex in that it uses all of the souls that you have in your inventory, but it only increases damage up to 5,000. So if you have more than 5,000 souls and you use Climax, you are wasting souls. Keep that in mind. We also picked up the Dragon Chime, which is the best miracle chime in the game, especially when infused with lightning. But that's going to wrap up this episode. So if you learned something, please leave a comment below, let me know. If I missed something, you got to let me know that too. And next time, we'll take on the Defender and Watcher and Queen Nishandra herself. I'll catch you guys next time.